thanks for stopping by. This is another day in the life of a software engineer. On a good day, I usually try to wake up around 7 or 7:30 a.m., but I think Alexa would disagree.
It's 9 a.m. Get the fuck up.
Thanks, Alexa. After waking up, I'll head straight to my bathroom. Unlike the stereotype of a software engineer, I do actually own toothpaste and take a daily shower. Even before remote work, one thing I really love about my job is not having a formal dress code. I find that it helps me save time to not worry about something that has no real impact on my job. After putting on some clothes, I'll head over to the kitchen. This is probably going to sound super weird, but I actually don't drink coffee in the morning. Instead, I'll make myself a cup of chai. On the side, I'll fry up an egg. And if I'm feeling really adventurous, I'll make myself an avocado toast. Finally, after finishing breakfast, I'll make my way over to my working space. I find that keeping a separate space dedicated just to work helps me focus better. It also keeps me from working longer hours than I need to. I start my working day around 10 a.m. by checking any urgent emails or Slack messages that I receive from my team. These usually might be customer issues related to bugs, feature requests that are planned for the next release, and finally code reviews, which I'll get to very soon. The team that I'm on is primarily a backend systems team that uses Java as well as Python for most of our code base. However, I've seen other engineers use different languages and stacks, so it's really team dependent. Once all my emails and messages have been checked, and I've made a note of which code reviews I need to approve and revise, I'll open up a note-taking app. After planning out the day, I'll usually hop on a call for our short team meeting, also known as a daily stand-up. During the meeting, me and my teammates talk about what we worked on yesterday, if there's any issues blocking our tasks, and what we plan on working on today. After stand-up, I'll finally start looking at the code reviews. A code review or pull request is basically where you'll share your changes to your team in the form of a commit. This will also show the difference between which lines have been added as well as which lines were removed, as well as contain a write-up of why this change needs to be introduced. If there's one thing I've always been good at, it's usually getting my code reviews rejected. Even now, it's still a miracle if my CR gets approved on the first try. Instead, I usually have a lot of constructive feedback on my CR and have comments on what to improve on for the next revision. Typically, when reviewing a CR, the reviewer is looking for readability, such as the number of lines and indentation, scalability, such as use of design patterns like singleton and factory, resource management, for example, allocating and cleaning up resources that are not in use, multiple forms of testing, such as unit and integration, and many more things. After leaving feedback on a couple of CRs, as well as checking which CRs I have to revise, it's usually around 1 o'clock. By this point, I'll head over to the kitchen to make lunch. One positive about remote work is that I'm not eating out lunch every day. I'll usually keep things pretty simple and have one type of meat, some veggies on the side, and maybe some grains. I usually finish my lunch pretty quickly and still have a lot of time in my break to spend time on things that I enjoy. I'm not really a musician or singer, but I'll just strum a couple of chords on my guitar and sing. I find that music helps me whenever I get stuck on a hard problem at work. After playing the guitar for a little bit, it's usually around 2 o'clock, which means it's back to work for me. At this point, the remainder of my day is mostly coding. I'll open up an IDE, have 2 terminals, one for my local machine and one for a remote machine, and have Slack on standby. The coding part of my day basically consists of me reading internal documentation, referring to Stack Overflow, and messaging coworkers on Slack. Somewhere in my day, I usually take a second break, or I'll go outside for a run. I usually pair this run with an audiobook in order to learn something outside of tech. Since my job is sitting 8 hours at a desk, this run helps remove stress from my work and keep me active, as well as hopefully learn something new in the process. Usually by the end of the day, I might have a second meeting, which can be of 3 types. The first is sprint planning, which is basically where we assign high priority tasks to each member of the team. A sprint retrospective, which is reflecting on what went well during the last 2 weeks of development and what needs to improve. And finally, a one-on-one meeting with my manager to ensure that I'm meeting my career goals. I'll wrap up the working day by sending out my CRs after running some last tests and responding to any last emails or messages. At this point it's probably around 7 p.m. and I'll have some leftovers from lunch or the previous day. After finishing dinner, I usually just try to decompress. Since it's hard to see people face to face right now, I'll either FaceTime my family or some close friends and share what's going on in my life, which right now really isn't much. After a couple calls, I'll hop on my Switch and play some Smash for a little with some friends. It's really the only thing I can say I'm competitive in. For the most part, I don't think my day looks that different from other software engineers or even from other people. I'm grateful that I get to work for one of these tech companies and have autonomy and challenge in my work. But at the same time, I know that it's just a job and not my life or identity. I really appreciate you sticking around this long in the video. Hopefully it was somewhat informative or even helpful. I plan on making another video in the future, either related to tech or other interests of mine, so it'll be really dope if you consider sticking around and subscribing. Hopefully, I'll see you again.